the Arkansas Moderati podcast. Here we go.
So the topic that everybody's talking about from 900 different angles is this indictment stuff. And I don't think it's going to be the last indictment, by the way. And I don't
probably not the most important either, but yeah,
probably not the most important, but here we are. It's all anybody can talk about. We have to listen to him. We have to see his posts from his fake Twitter. What do you think?
So first of all, I'm happy that the guy has finally been held or is being held accountable for something he did. But I think as I've listened to this play out, the thing that upsets me the most is the way it's being approached by the media largely. Everybody keeps talking about the classification angle, which is important. I understand. But it's not really a question of whether or not the information is classified. It's whether or not it's his property. And it's absolutely not. It's absolutely not his property. And the idea that a president could just unilaterally wave his hand and declassify this kind of documentation is ridiculous if on its face, if you think about it.
I think you missed the point. He said he didn't have to wave his hand. He said he could just do it by thinking about it.
Yeah. But so if he could declassify any paperwork in his possession with his mind, think about what that would mean to our allies and partners that have provided intelligence to us over the years. If you were England, for example, and there's this guy that says, I can just declassify this stuff with my mind. It's my stuff. And everything with the guy is transactional, right? He has something, he wants to give it up to you, he wants something of value back. So it's been reported that there's nuclear secrets in this pile of stuff that they took back from him. And so the idea, the way classification works, and everybody knows this on a base level, the way the classification works is you hand me the paper and say, I think this should be declassified. And then everybody takes a shot at it and says, okay, largely we agree with you, but we're going to mark out these methods, or they don't want to put anybody at risk over the course of declassification. But all of that is really just an aside to say it's not his property. He stole paperwork that did not belong to him. And nobody has really, I'm assuming that the other shoe that's going to drop here is motive, but he took it. He lied about whether or not he'd returned all of it. They gave him multiple chances to stop this. And as that super leftist Bill Barr said this week, the idea that this is some way, just another way to persecute the president is ridiculous.
And I think you accidentally made a mistake that I think we've got to stop making. We've got to stop saying he took some paperwork, because he didn't take some paperwork.
No.
He took some paperwork that articulated some of the most important secrets that we have. Ran invasion plans, which we have invasion plans for probably every country on the damn earth.
Yeah.
But you don't want to broadcast that to your enemies or your friends that you have invasion plans. You don't want, and I saw the other day, a staunch Republican guy on Twitter. He said, I've never voted other than Republican. He said, my son is a fighter pilot. And he goes, I guarantee you that if something Trump leaked caused my son to get shot out of the sky, there would be serious repercussions. He said, I would be down there at Mar-a-Lago wanting to talk to the guy. And so I think that reasonable people all across the spectrum understand what happened here if they read the documents and the indictment that details what actually happened, because otherwise I left my job at Burger King headquarters 22 years ago, and I took some pens and some papers and what the hell, my time card, I thought that was cool to keep. That's not what we're talking about.
Some Whopper recipes were in my paper when I cleaned out my desk, that kind of thing. Yeah.
He took things that he believed he could exploit in the future for either profit or power. And it's very clear from all of this information. Now, what I find that is a tiny bit encouraging is the way that Republicans are reacting to this indictment over time. It is taking them a little time to digest the stuff because it's complex. But whereas in the impeachment, everybody says bullshit, perfect call.
Yeah.
But this CNN poll that was just released earlier today, 47% of Republicans and Republican-leaning voters say Trump is their first choice for the party nomination. But in May, it was 53%. So that has dropped a significant amount. 26% of Republicans say that following the indictment, Trump should drop out of the race. So now Trump should drop out of the race, which that number was lower. And another 16% say he should drop out only if he's convicted. So Republicans are starting to move on this and to see what he did for what it actually is.
Yeah.
Pence, Biden, Obama, when they were notified, hey, we think you have documents. Oh, great. We'll find them and we'll send them back to you immediately.
Right.
Trump starts
No,
moving
wait,
around, starts
no,
lying about it.
It's worse than that. And I learned this from super leftist Bill Barr too. Biden and Pence had received permission to temporarily store those documents in locations where they could sort through them.
I didn't know that.
Yes. Like I said, I learned this from William Barr Esquire. And during the course of that, they came across paperwork that they knew that they should not have. And the law makes allowances for that. And so they immediately contacted the government and said, hey, we've got some paperwork you're going to. That's not what Trump did. Trump did exactly the opposite. Trump held on to everything. And when they got back in touch with him and said, hey, we think you might have absconded with some of our most closely held governmental secrets, he said, no, you've got it all. Here, I'll give you these 3 things back. There, that was it. And pulled that thing again where he got his lawyers to lie for him and say, oh yeah, Mr. Trump assures us that you've got it all back now, so that I'm going to be the one that ends up at Danbury minimum security prison when this all goes bad. It's just such a ridiculous, petulant 9-year-old story, right? Where all you had to do was take all the boxes and put them on your miniature jumbo jet and fly them back and just patiently wait.
He just need to move them to the front porch. They would have come and got them from the front porch. And it literally a 25-minute exercise, move all this shit out of the bathrooms and out of the storage rooms, walk your way through the people in his parties that have the long fake blonde hair and big boobs, and walk them to the front porch and leave them out there. And this all would have gone away. But he can't do that because he's like he's like my son when he was 5 years old. Mine. Yeah.
All right. I think we should watch this as it goes on. There's going to be more beautiful, delicious details that come out here.
But watch it, and also encourage our brothers and sisters on both sides that when they hear something that sounds implausible, to take 15 extra seconds and to think about it and to take a look at what is actually happening instead of believing whoever wants to say something.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see what else. The FBI, the Washington Post had a story yesterday. The FBI resisted investigating Trump on January 6th until the January 6th commission basically made that position impossible. Your thoughts?
I didn't read the article. So
oh man,
I read the headline, but I didn't read the article.
Yeah, the headline is the article. Director Ray was like, and here's the thing that drives me crazy about this is they said they didn't want to. I'll give you a quote so I don't sound. He said, hold on. The article says, the FBI, comma, mindful of not wanting to appear partisan, comma, had for months held off on launching a formal investigation into former President Donald Trump's role in efforts to subvert the 2020 election.
Oh my God.
The ultimate irony being that by taking that position, you appear partisan.
Exactly. Exactly.
If we just take all the party apparatus and gift wrapping off of this, and you just say the FBI decided not to investigate a person who may or may not have been involved in undermining the 2020 election. This is terrible. This is a terrible story. But somehow, because there are political parties involved, we say, we better not investigate this because it might look like a partisan witch hunt. No, a person broke the law. The law doesn't give a damn.
I'm sorry. I'm so lost on this because I always see this. If the investigation goes too far and too close to the election, then it would be reasonable that the FBI or whoever stops investigating until after the election.
Right.
The sense of urgency is on figuring out if somebody killed somebody before we put them into.
Here's what Trump taught us about the law and the president. Number one, you can't be indicted for committing crimes while you're a president, which means that as long as you're president, you can commit whatever crimes you want to, and you don't have to face any kind of legal repercussions for it. And then once you're not president anymore, they'll say, he's not the president anymore. The moment is past. And then when you're running for president, they say, you can't indict him right now because he's running for president. So basically, if you want to be president, you can commit whatever crimes you want. If I wanted to shoot you in the face, the thing to do would be to announce that I was running for president and then go over to your house and shoot you in the face. And then when the cops show up, say, I know you want to arrest me for shooting Tom in the face, but I'm running for president right now. And so I really feel like you're just doing it to stop my campaign.
Yeah, but you're not even talking about the long game there. And then it becomes really important that guy remain president as long as physically possible,
Of course,
so that he doesn't go to jail. And so then you have things like Jason.
But no, because once you're out of office, they'll say that stuff all happened before he was president. And he's not president anymore, so we're just going to let that go.
It's the stupidest shit.
It's the dumbest shit. Every attorney in the world should be, if you've got a client that's on death row right now, have them announce that they're running for president. That's my legal advice for you.
Let's talk about something I want to talk about.
Okay, fine. Ice cream.
I want to talk about how unbelievably statesmanlike and Jeffersonian Asa Hutchinson looks right now.
Oh my God.
I want to talk about the fact that Asa Hutchinson seems to me to be a founding father at this point.
Right. Yeah.
He wrote I'm sure he wrote large sets of papers
right.
opining on our democracy and how it should work, because he seems to be right now in comparison, the most sane, statesman-like leader that this state has ever had in its history. Please discuss.
So number one, I started to talk about this earlier when you brought it up. If you were running for president right now and your name is not Donald Trump, and Donald Trump is suddenly arrested and is about to stand trial for multiple felonies, the issue with this guy in the past has been people couldn't figure out how to go at him because he was in such a relative position of strength. I've said this to you before. He's bleeding right now. All of these people should be lining up to stab him, just like Asa Hutchinson did. Asa stabbed him in the face, looked at him and stabbed him. And a little bit of background. What Tom's talking about is Asa went to the GOP and said, hey, can we have an agreement that we don't have to support the nominee if he's convicted of a felony, which would seem like the lowest bar possible. Can we get out of this? As an aside, you'll never get Trump to agree to support as long as I'm the nominee, I'll support the nominee. Is what he's going to say. He's not going to support, Asa. Never. We'll see. So I agree that somewhere right now there should be plans to at least consider putting Asa on the Mount Rushmore. Just let's put it up for a vote. No, yeah.
It's just the most ridiculous thing. So
we should talk about it.
His quote on the news on the Sunday program the other day was, quote, I'm not going to vote for him if he's a convicted felon. If he's convicted of espionage, I'm not going to vote for him.
Wow,
which
really?
is insane that it has to be spoken out loud. If he's convicted of espionage, I'm not going to vote for him. Now, when you look at what our esteemed governor had to say about this, our current governor and woman with daddy issues, she said, Sarah from Mar-a-Lago says the Biden administration is weaponizing the DOJ to go after their number one opponent.
Right.
It's a two-tiered system of justice aimed directly at Donald Trump and conservatives. Here's my thought, Sarah. If Donald Trump is convicted of espionage, we should not vote for him. It
seems pretty straightforward to me. Yeah.
Extremely clear. Whereas the Republicans talk so much about law and order and respectable leaders, and they don't want chaos. They want borders around things. They want walls around things. She is happy to say quietly that if the president is convicted of espionage, she'll probably still vote for him if he's the nominee.
Same thing Bill Barr, super leftist, said. He's a petulant child, and he brought this on himself, and these are very serious charges. And then ask him at the end, they're like, if he's the nominee, will you vote for him? He goes, yeah.
So the question out there is very simple, and I know the premise will be rejected by a lot of people, but what the fuck is wrong with our governor? What is wrong with her that she's going to call everybody in the state radical leftists? She calls all the teachers indoctrinators, and she cannot personally say that if the former president is indicted for or charged and convicted with espionage, that she still wouldn't vote him.
The thing that drives me crazy about this is that it's so obvious that she is just taking the moderates, the normal Republicans that made it possible for her to win. She is taking them for granted. She is not treating them with any respect whatsoever. She is only concerned with that wacko MAGA base and just terrified that either those people will turn on her or Trump will be exonerated and will remember that she didn't treat him with the correct fealty. That she wouldn't be Sarah from Mar-a-Lago anymore. She'd have to be Sarah from K Street or something. I just don't know. I don't know.
The bad news is she's going to get out of the state soon to run for some sort of crazy shit. And the good news is she's going to get out of the state soon to run for some kind of crazy shit.
That's right.
I think that the comeuppance that she's going to is that no one that would choose her as a vice president probably has a chance of winning it.
Well, yeah.
Now, I said that something similar in 2016.
Yeah, knock on wood.
All right. This has been the
Okay, man.
TNR podcast powered by the Purple People Project.
See you next time.
Oh my God. That was fun.
Yeah.